Chris Perez here. Just wanted to go over some updates, some things in my life that have changed in the last few months. I wanted to give you guys just a brief update of everything I have going on. So without further ado, start with the first topic. I wanted to let everybody know that I'm officially a full-time coach now. Full-time coach, full-time athlete. And so, my roster is opening up, and I have availability to take on clients. Over the last 5 years or so, going to school and working part-time jobs and just doing things to get by, I never really found anything that I was truly passionate about, that I truly love, and that I wanted to, that I could see myself doing long-term. And so this year, my roster grew enough to the point that I no longer have to continue to do things that I don't want to do. So now I can just focus on growing my business, continuing to push as an athlete. And shameless plug, if you or someone you know is interested in powerlifting coaching, feel free to reach out. Send me a DM on Instagram at ChrisPerezPL, or you can send me an email, chrispereztraining@gmail.com. We can have a conversation and we can see if it's a good match. Okay, so next thing I wanted to talk about was the Arnold. So I started making a series of videos. I made a few of them going into the Arnold, and I never made a recap video after, and the reason was because I just performed much worse than I thought, and I just wanted to get back into training and not really think about that meet too much. I just wanted to give a really brief update as to the reasons I felt why that meet didn't go to plan, and then I'll talk about my latest meet and things that are different. But essentially, I was able to match my best PR total at the Arnold, and that's good, but I had gotten a lot stronger in the off season, and I felt that I should have been able to put up a much better performance, if I had done things better. And one of the biggest mistakes that I made was not recomping almost at all. It was the first time that I cut for a competition. I cut 2 kilos, so not anything crazy, but still 2 kilos that I needed to put back on after weigh-ins, and I didn't. Like I said, I didn't really have the experience of doing it, didn't really think it was a big deal. I usually just kind of eat, for the most part, whatever I want on meet day. Don't drink a ton of liquids because I'm just kind of coming in at my normal body weight. But obviously when you cut, as I learned, it's super important to recomp and to try to get back to that training weight. So essentially I just made really bad choices when it comes to food, when it comes to just not drinking enough liquids, not getting enough electrolytes in me on the day. So I was on the platform 2 kilos lighter than I normally train, and so that reflected on my performance. I just had a really bad day. Not terrible, I guess, because I was able to match my best meet, but not the day that I was expecting, well below what I wanted. Another thing that I kind of learned after the fact was that, the way that I cut, I was probably lacking in certain electrolytes like sodium and potassium for the most part. I cut with basically just whey protein and ice cream, and those food sources just don't have enough of those electrolytes, which are very important leading into a meet. So I had that for a couple of days and was able to make weight easily, but just didn't have the appropriate electrolytes in my body. This time around, we made some changes to the gut cut and obviously the recomp, and that reflected on my performance for my latest meet. Before I get to that, I wanted to talk about something else, and that is that I am working with a new coach now. So about 2 months ago, I started working with Joe Stanek from Game Day Barbell. So far, it's been really good. We've made some changes to my programming. We've made some changes to, like I said, the cut and the recomp process, and things have been going really, really well, and I'm just really excited to continue to work with Joe. He's someone that I've looked up to and respected a lot, in the industry as a coach, and, I'm very happy to be working with him. And, last thing and most recent thing that happened was my performance at this local meet that I did. I competed in the PRs for Paradise meet in Miami, and really the only reason that I did that meet was because I was trying to earn a primetime qualifying total for Raw Nationals. So that was what I was trying to do with the Arnold. Obviously I didn't perform as well as I wanted to. So if you look at the rankings, I think I was 9th or 10th going into the Nationals based on my total. And from what I hear, you have to be top 7, something like that. It's not confirmed yet, but top 7 seems to be a pretty safe spot to be if you're trying to qualify for primetime. So I wanted to get a top 7 total. So signed up for this local meet, and the goal was just to hit a total to be big enough to qualify me and pretty much guarantee me a spot in primetime at Raw Nationals this year. And it seems like we did that. I mean, I hit an 820 kilo total, so that's 1,808 pounds. That is currently, as of today, the third highest total going into nationals, so I think that's pretty safe to be, pretty safe spot to be as far as qualifying for primetime. And I just wanted to talk about some of the things that we did differently going into this meet and why I think I just performed so much better. Really the first, and like I said, the most important thing, it was the recomp. So I just, made just a really concerted effort to recomp and bring my body weight back up to what it normally is. And when I stepped on the platform, the squad, I was back to my normal training body weight. And the difference was, obviously my food choices. I just picked something that was high carb, low fat, easy to digest, and I picked, I just consumed a ton of liquids, tri-oral, I used glycerol, just all the stuff that I felt was going to help me rehydrate really quickly, and I just forced a lot of liquid down before I got on the platform. I was very uncomfortable, obviously. I mean, I'm someone who gets pretty nervous on meet day and the week leading up to it, and so it's hard for me to like force food and liquids down, but I just, when I felt like I was going to get sick, I would just stop, take a break, and then I would just kind of resume, and then by the time I got on the platform, like I said, I was basically back at training weight, so I felt honestly amazing. I felt really good all day, and I think that was the biggest piece of the puzzle, but there were also a few other things that I think contributed, a good amount. And those were, so obviously the gut cut process. So we kind of switched the way that I did my gut cut. We switched the food choices. So we went back to like the more traditional method that Steve has on his YouTube video. So it was almonds, it was protein shakes, and then it was a carb source. So it was like a solid carb source. So I did bagels. And, it was a little tricky. This was definitely my hardest cut. Arnold was the first time I cut. This one was definitely harder to make weight. Because of the food sources, but I think that going into the meet with the more electrolytes, I think was probably another reason why I felt really good on the day and I didn't feel like depleted or anything. So like I said, the cut was pretty tough. I woke up the day before basically 2 kilos up. I hadn't really lost any weight, and so we switched out some of the food sources, kept in the almonds, and I woke up the morning of about 1 kilo heavy, and I just kind of spit until weigh-ins and I was fine. And obviously the recomp went as good as it could because I just felt really good, and I was initially really bloated, but then I just felt that all the liquid was kind of going to the right places, to my muscles, and I just felt full again, and obviously I was really strong on the day. The next thing that we did differently was with my bench. So my bench has been the lift that's been the trickiest to kind of progress. The last year and a half or so, it's been kind of stuck around that 200 kilo mark. And I hit it a couple times in a meet. I hit it on a fat pad one time, and then I hit it on a ghost bench, which I think, in my opinion, is one of the better, more assistive benches. It's the one I train on. I was able to hit it at the meet on a TSS pad, on the one that they use at nationals, and I honestly felt the best that I've ever felt. I felt like I had another 5 kilos in me, which would have been a 5 kilo PR. And so the biggest differences that we made with my bench, we kind of kept the structure of the microcycle the same. So the days were all the same days. I have one, day one is like a higher volume day, some higher reps, kind of like a moderate intensity. And then day two, which is my secondary day, I do tempo bench, and we essentially just push that day harder than we had in the past. Previously, I would do like a single and then like 4 or 5, volume sets, 3 to 4 reps, maybe up to 5 reps, something like that. And, Joe made a decision to take out that single. He didn't feel like it was necessary or like it was helping me. And then we just push the volume harder. So, essentially, instead of keeping it around the 6 to 7 RPE range, we started around the 6 to 7 RPE range, and then we worked up to like 9s. So like the week of the meet, I was doing, 5 sets of 4 on my tempo bench at like 8 to 9 RPE. So it was really hard. It was tough. But essentially, I think that that's the stimulus that I need on that secondary day to then, drive adaptations for Saturday to feel really good. The Thursday bench day was kind of an easy, priming type of day, just like some easy doubles, like nothing heavy. Saturday was the primary day, so always a single, and then, heavy volume. And same thing as Tuesday, we kind of worked up to a really high intensity, up to like an 8 or a 9 RPE, so like I was hitting volume PRs and stuff. And I was able to bench 200 kilos in training, probably better than ever, with really good commands, like very strict. And then on meet day, I benched it, by far the easiest I've ever hit it. So we changed the block length. That was one of the main things. So I was previously using an 8-week block, which is kind of a long extended block. And then we cut it into 4-week blocks, so where we'd kind of work up to a heavy intensity every 4th week. That seemed to work really well because I was able to, work up to these weights without beating myself up too much. So the block length, the structuring of the secondary days, and then the peaking strategy we used was pretty similar, maybe slightly different. We kept most of my accessories in, we cut them in half the week of. I kept everything pretty much exactly the same and cut like one set on Thursday, and then I felt really, really strong on Saturday. So a few minor changes, but I think changes that were very important and integral to like me performing really good on the day. Because a lot of times I'll hit 200 kilos in the gym, and then on meet day I just kind of fall flat. I kind of tank a little bit, and I struggle to bench 195. And then last thing, which I felt was maybe one of the more minor things, but still something that I feel like was pretty important. I tried to change my mentality going into this meet, and I'm someone who naturally gets very nervous for meets. It's something that I care a lot about, and something that I really want to perform well. It's something that I love to do, and it's also something that I just put a lot of pressure on myself to just perform and continue to get better and always have a PR meet. It's not always going to be like that, but that's just kind of how my mind works, and that's I'm a competitive athlete. I want to be the best, and so that's just the way my brain works. And I tried to be just a little more low-key this time. I didn't really talk about this meet too much. I didn't really post on Instagram about how many weeks out I was. I just kind of trained and just, honestly tried to keep my mind off of the meet as much as I could. I was just kind of doing other things, just kind of like living my life and working and trying to occupy my time. And I felt overall just kind of less pressure. And I think that it's not really, I never feel pressure from anything that anyone else does or says, but I just kind of make myself nervous. And I think that, in the past, I would try to make myself, like, really hype myself up and make myself nervous in an attempt to, like, outdo myself and, like, try to create this performance that, but for the most part, I think that it was hurting me more than it was helping me. And so my mentality was just that I was just going to be really calm. I was going to kind of bring myself down. I'm someone who, like I said, naturally is very nervous, so I don't really need to like force that. Like, I'm just gonna be nervous anyway. So on meet day, I just really tried to treat every attempt like I was just in the gym doing a single. Like, every week I have an SPD day. Like, why is this any different? Like, I'm just gonna go in there and just do what I normally do. I don't fail lifts in training. I don't really ever grind anything. Like, I'm just gonna like go in there and just do what I would normally do. And I felt like that was really key for me. And so that's the same attitude I'm going to take in the future. As long as it keeps working, I'm just going to keep doing it. So going into nationals, I'm just going to try my best to not pressure myself, not make myself nervous. I'm going to feel that anyway, so there's no need to like make myself, go crazy. So I'm just going to do that. And I feel like that's, the combination of all these things that we've changed and things that are different now. I feel like Joe and I have a really good formula for all of my lifts. Coming to Joe, I already had a good formula for squat and deadlift, so we pretty much kept that the same. But bench seems to be working, seems to be on an up, on a trend up. And I think that we have the cut and the recomp just like super dialed in. My mentality is really good. I feel healthy. I'm completely healthy, and I think nationals is going to be good this year. I think I'm going to do really well, and I think it's going to be I feel like that 820 meet was kind of a super meet for me, but I definitely felt like I left kilos on the platform. And I'm looking forward to being able to put on an even better performance at nationals. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.